Welcome, Lumineers and fans of the happiest card game on earth. Before we get started, we hit 100 subscribers on the channel, which is incredible. 3 videos in, and we've hit it already. It's insane. Thank you and welcome to every single one of you. I love you all unconditionally. If anything happens to any of you, I would kill everyone in this room and then myself. It does mean that some of you who are watching this aren't subscribed, and well, you know what to do. Then I'll love you as well. Welcome every single one of you. Anyway, onto the meat and potatoes of this video. I am going to be doing a deep dive into each of the cards shown off at D23, and not just the card itself, but what it means for the wider game. But before that, I just wanted to take a moment to talk about trading card games, conventions such as D23, and the second-hand market. So just to make sure we're all on the same page, D23 is Disney's fan expo that happens in Anaheim. There's a big shop floor that sells all range of merchandise, and then there are various talks and panels throughout the weekend, new Marvel movies, what they're planning on doing with the Disney parks, that kind of thing. As part of that convention, Ravensburger, who are the company that are actually making Lorcana, had a stall. And on that stall, you could purchase a collector's edition of the first 6 cards in a set. These cards had special foil treatments and the D23 logo on the bottom of each of them. Thanks to some people who were there now filming the pack themselves, we can see what the foiling looks like, and it is gorgeous. The Elsa has little snowflakes and the Stitch has little confetti pieces that sort of foil as you move. Really beautiful. I showed you a little clip there, but there's a full video in the description, and the guy should get credit. Please go and watch that video. It's a good video. It shows you the foiling off really nicely. As well as that set that you could purchase for $50 US dollars, I believe it was like $49.99. As well as that, they also had the Mickey Mouse card, the 7th card, the Brave Little Tailor version of Mickey Mouse, available as well. There was no foil on this one, although it did still have the D23 logo on it, and that was available for free just by visiting the stall. I still think you had to be part of the lineup, but yeah, you got one of those just by going and saying hi. The collector's box of 6 were limited to 300 units per day, meaning 900 units total over the weekend. On the Friday, they were allowing 2 to be purchased per customer. They quite quickly realized that only meant 150 people were getting any, so on the Saturday and Sunday they limited it to 1 per customer. As far as we are aware, the Mickeys weren't limited number-wise, or at least the number was more than high enough to cover everybody, but again, you were still allowed 1 per day, I believe, and they were scanning badges to make sure that that was held up. The Mickey card also came with a Mickey pin, the same artwork onto a pin, and then there was a second pin as well that just had the Lorcana logo. Both of those, I believe, were free as well. Lorcana have been very sure to say over and over again, it's pretty much the only thing they tweeted this weekend. These 7 cards, including Mickey Mouse, are verbatim going to be the cards that feature in the first chapter, which is the first set release of the game next year. The only difference is the foil treatment on these 6 cards in the collector box, and of course the D23 logo at the bottom. So if you are a player of the game or a casual collector, you really have nothing to worry about. One big swing and a miss, in my opinion, for trading cards to do is make it so that mechanically unique cards are only available through various competitions or limited runs such as convention specials, that sort of thing. If there is a card that is really good in the game and wants to be played in most decks, and it's only available if you went to a certain part of America for a certain day and paid a lot of money for it, then that really leads to broken games. Disney have the fantastic, almost unprecedented ability to put these cards into lots of places as part of promotional packages. You can already imagine them going to have cards that are only available in their theme parks, cards that you get given every time you go to see a Disney film at the cinema, cards that come in the cases of Blu-rays. Did people buy Blu-rays anymore? But as long as they just end up being alternative art or alternative foil treatments of cards that are regularly available in the set, then I don't really have a problem with it. So, those were the products available. If, like me, you weren't able to get to D23, or, it isn't really something that interests you, is there any way of getting these cards before this set comes out next year? Is there any way of still buying them as part of collectors? Well, that's where eBay comes in. You can go on eBay now. The collector set is going for around about $2,000 American, and the single Mickey card goes for $200 or $300. The pins go for around about $100 each. Some people get them cheaper, some people are paying a bit more for them, but it's usually they're around those ballpark figures. There are a lot of the collector sets currently listed for about $3,500, but if you go to actual like sold listings, completed listings, they're all around that $2,000 mark. So is this right? No, not really. Is it good? No, of course it isn't. Is it expected? Yeah, 100% it's expected. You might remember if you've been watching these videos that I did mention in a previous video, if anyone had got one that were willing to sell, I would be willing to purchase it, knowing full well that I would probably pay a lot. I won't lie, I didn't expect it to go into the thousands of dollars, but I was quite happy to sort of put $400 or $500 down on this thing. This is just how these things go. One thing I will say though is I don't really see this as an indictment of Lorcana, how it's doing now or how it will do in the future. This is just D23. This is what happens. If you come out of the Lorcana bubble for a moment and take a look at eBay for other D23 merchandise, it is absolutely chocked full with Funko Pops, with Barbie dolls, with Squishables, and other stuffed animals that are going for thousands% over the markup that they were being costed for at the D23. There are numerous Facebook groups and Reddit groups and Discord selling Barbie dolls for $500, $600, $700. This is nothing new and is nothing specific to Lorcana. And it certainly isn't any sort of show as to how well or poorly the game is going to do when it releases next year. This is a complete miniature little collector bubble that we are now getting a look at, perhaps for the first time. If you're not somebody who follows the Disney collector scene, this may well be a little bit shocking to you, but it's also happened in the past to various other trading card games. There are numerous singly available Digimon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards that you could only get from tournaments that are now going for thousands of dollars. It's just how this works. And you've either got the money to put up for them or you haven't. People asking me if $2,000 is a good investment for these 6 cards. It's completely subjective. Are you a huge Disney collector? Do you get something out of having these cards early? Is that something that brings you joy, so to speak? Do you have $2,000 to spend on what is arguably just a hobby? Then yes, of course it's worth it. Would you be spending that $2,000 and then not making rent this month? And then of course it isn't. Chances are prices on this stuff will come down a little bit over the next couple of weeks as that FOMO, that initial sort of hype, dies down, but then it's only going to creep up again due to less and less of them being available on the second-hand market as they get into the hands of their final owners. Personally, I think 900 was probably a little light for how many of them they should have took with them, but I do think that maybe this D23 showing for Ravensburger was a bit of a last-minute thing. D23 is biannual, meaning it's every other year as opposed to it being biannual, which is twice a year. We really should have a different word for that. So the next D23 isn't going to be until 2024, when hopefully the game is in full swing and has been out for almost a year at that point. There are numerous conventions throughout the year for gaming, a lot of which I attend. I'm very excited to see Lorcana showing at them through the summer of 2023. But that's only one half of their market. Ravensburger are surely aware that a lot of the players are going to be coming from the card game side of things, but a lot of them are going to be coming just as new Disney fans as well. And how do you reach Disney fans en masse and hype them up? You go to D23. There's a reason it's the place where they announce new rides for the theme parks. There's a reason why it's now become the place where they show off new trailers for Star Wars and Marvel. It is a hype machine that the whole world is looking at for that weekend. So I do not blame them being there at all. Although I do think it is a little early, and now we will probably see the Lorcana hype train slow a little towards the end of this year, and probably not pick back up again until 8 to 6 months out from launch, which I would consider to be a more standard sort of marketing period. So just to sum up, do I think these prices on eBay are ridiculous? Yeah, a little bit. Am I surprised by them? No, not particularly. Do I think they say anything about the successfulness or unsuccessfulness of the game next year? Absolutely not. I don't want this video to be a complete Debbie Downer, so I will say that the showing from Ravensburger at D23 was fantastic. The videos of the booth that I saw all looked incredible. The artwork looks fantastic. The cards themselves look great, and everyone seemed to have a good time. There were issues with this year's D23. It was the first big one for them after the pandemic, and they seem to have an issue with people pre-booking spaces for talks and then not using that seat, but instead using that as a way to get into the sales room early. None of that is to do with Ravenburger or Lorcana, obviously, but it's something they do want to be looking at for the next time, I think. And I'm sure I heard mentioned somewhere that the pack of 6 as a collector pack is going to be available in some form after D23, minus the D23 branding, but I can't find a source. Now I've come to record this video, I can't find a source for that anywhere. I may have dreamt it. If that rings a bell to any of you and you can tell me where I saw it, please let me know in the comments as well. And let me know in the comments if you managed to get any of this stuff. Were you at D23? Have you laid out a lot of money for something on eBay? I would really love to know. Again, the next video is going to be the start of our deep dive series into the 7 cards we can now see. The first one is going to be Robin Hood. We're going to be taking a big look at the evasive feature of his card and what it tells us for the game on a larger scale. Until next time, remember, there will come a day when you look around and realize happiness is where you are. I'm John T. Sparrow for the Illumineers. I'll see you in the next one. Annually in a lot of which I attend. I'm very excited to see Lorcana showing that. The showing at D23 from Ravenburg. Ravenburg.